Welcome back to Media Mama TV for INSPO, Info, and Convo. I'm Alicia Cutting, and we are here to talk about things that have been occurring over the several years, which includes how our faith life, how we've adjusted to life changes and found strength in our faith over the course of the years, including, of course, how things have changed throughout this pandemic time. Millie, we know that you definitely are a woman of faith, and you've shared that. So how have things changed for you over the years?
Well, it has changed a lot because at one point, it was always about go and be with your church family, go have that community sense, right? And then they have noticed that, so if they don't reach to us, how can we reach out to them, right? So then that's where the social media platform comes through. It so happens that the pandemic came through, and guess what? We had to rely on social media platform. And thank goodness for, God provided the Instagram, the Facebook, the lives, YouTube. So therefore, if you missed out and let's feel like maybe you don't have faith, maybe you don't believe in God, and it so happens that you actually click on something, it's like, let's see what this is all about. Maybe that will be the hook for you in your life, It will inspire you. Maybe you'll find a connection with somebody that doesn't Bible pounder you like it has been for many years. So I think it's phenomenal that we've been able to piggyback on that, even though having the face-to-face, worship, hands up, all that stuff that I love to do, I can't do it, but it's still awesome that yes, we can still encourage our family because yes, my foundation and that's my number one drive in my home. And I love it. I love it that we're able to do that. And there has been some change for generations to come because we cannot stay stuck in the old. We have to be on a speed button on 5 for all those other generations to come because these kids are like way advanced from us, right?
Basically, it's an ever evolving process. So it's like if you found, strength in your belief system, whatever that may be. And the challenge often is that we do rely on community. And community for many people, it means actually physically fellowshipping together. But like everything else, as time goes on, the foundation of that stays the same, but we sometimes implement it in different ways. I mean, have you found that also, Dana, Gina?
Yeah. I think for me, I grew up in a church. And God has always been a part of my life. But I think that I didn't really develop like a personal relationship with God up until like maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 years. In the past 5 to 10 years was when I would say that my actual relationship and my actual for real faith, that's when I started to grow in my faith in the last like 5 to 10 years. The pandemic certainly strengthened it, but it didn't kick it off for me. But yeah, it's interesting. I think, the whole going to church is important. Community is important. All of those things are great. But I think, generally speaking, there's a lot of people who are in the building that don't necessarily like have that relationship. And I mean, I was one of them, you know what I mean? There was a time in my life where I did the routine of, going to church and going to Bible study and whatever, but I couldn't really say that, that I felt it really. I think I've gotten to that place. So it's just, it's funny. I was talking to a friend recently about, I was like, I remember being a kid and looking at like the older women in church and just sort of like getting the spirit and just being like, you know what I mean? And being like, well, what is going on with her? You know what I mean? And it's like, I get it. Like after you've gone through some stuff and you reach a certain point in your life, you can look back and be like grateful with your whole soul, and and it's an interesting evolution. It's not something, it happens at different times for us all in different ways.
And I think that during this time period, again, because life has especially been very unpredictable, things that we thought we could rely on, i.e. steady jobs, situations, health, non-existent health issues, that because so many things have changed, it's caused many people who might not have had a particular faith practice to recognize that, if I don't find myself being grounded in something, I'm going to just get swept up in the issues of life. So I think this has been a time of transition in many ways for many people to realize that, you know what, whatever that faith practice is for me, I need to find it and rely on it. And it may not look the way it did a year ago, but
I'm definitely that person.
Absolutely. And you're in that connectivity that you have, to your practice is very important to you.
Yeah. I'm absolutely that person, Alicia, where my faith practice looks very different than a year ago. I mean, I believe in God and I love God, and we didn't grow up in the church
God
at
loves
all.
you.
I know, he's so good to me. He's very gracious, but he's so gracious. We didn't grow up in the church at all. And I only started going to church when I started to have a personal relationship with God. It was interesting that Dana said that. It was kind of like, oh yeah, God, what an idea. So then I joined a church that was just wonderful at that point in time. And then before that though, I was a Buddhist. So I was always in search of something bigger. However, in the last year, one of the things was, of course, holding on to God and God in Christ, but is oddly law of attraction and positive thinking and vibration and stuff like that.
That's also God to me. Like that's also, it's all the same.
I mean, it really is. And that's the thing. It's like over the course of time, as you get older, you realize it just kind of like, winds in. And you can believe and love in God and also believe in the law of attraction. I mean, it's a thing. I mean, in the sense that, how being really mindful about how you feel, and particularly during the pandemic, day to day, Groundhog Day, every day is the same. Just every day is the same. I started to realize it's like, if I'm not going to slip it, and there were some terrible things that happened over the course of 2020 besides the pandemic, but
absolutely,
it's like, if I'm going to slip into depression, that's not, and I can see it and I can head it off. I really need to take something. I need to really look into something else. I can have my conversations with God, but I can also be very mindful about what I'm thinking about and what I'm feeling.
And to be honest with you, Gina, and to be honest with you, Gina, there's no conflict with that, because even if the Bible is your frame of reference, that's talked about all throughout. It's like, what you say you are is what you will receive. So that's like,
right.
Exactly. So that's really changed my life. I can say that honestly, within the last year, it's really changed my life, being really mindful of how I'm feeling. It's like, am I feeling, what do I feel more? Am I more angry or am I more grateful? It's always going to be more grateful. So it's kind of like, it's like this constant reset, and it's sometimes a minute by minute thing. But it's really been so super beneficial for me.
Yeah.
So my faith
that is actually God's heart desires. That's his desires, that we be positive, mindful, that we go and reach out, ask him to help us out, to lead us in the way, to give us wisdom. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you want positivity all day, every day, don't look this way. There's nothing on the horizontal. It's always, right?
He's a happy God.
Right. Like that, if that is his desire for us, why wouldn't he us to like grasp on it, And you can't go free.com nowhere else.
Yeah. And Dalika, it's like, I know that you sometimes you joke around because you're like out in Seattle, out there, and you're, grew up hippy dippy. If you
no. Actually, no, you mean Portland, Oregon.
Oregon.
Was it Portland? People always mix it up.
I meant to. It was in my heart.
You all over the place.
I meant to say. I meant to mean Seattle.
No, I've always had God in my heart. That's not ever been an issue for me. It's nothing I've ever struggled with. And that's it. God exists. That's, you guys should know by now, Alika is like, God exists. That's it. We're done. Move on. So that's never been a problem. The thing that was tricky for me, honestly, we're talking about faith, was I had to actually develop some faith more. Well, I've always had faith in science, but during COVID, because there were so many messages coming from so many places, I decided, I made a conscious choice to really develop faith in science. So when someone said to me, don't do this vaccine because XYZ, don't do this, because I actually spent hours researching, what is mRNA? What does it mean? What does it symbolize? Why should I have faith in what they're saying? And I took information from a lot of different sources. And then I looked at, you know, non-conventional ways to treat COVID and conventional ways. And why is hospitalization so high? So I kind of spent a lot of time just looking at the faith and the facts as much as they can be presented objectively, which means really looking at different sources. So I can say for me, it was the faith in the fact that science has helped us over the years, and science comes from God. I believe that science, that God gave us free will and God gave us our brains. Therefore, science is part of God. They're not, they work together.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Right, exactly.
Right. And so
Agreed.
that's where my faith developed, is really with, I would say, like in the past 6 months, really filtering out the noise and just reading the data and the science, and my faith in science.
Yeah. And I'll even co-sign on that too, because okay, like, so I have the science background. I grew up in a house of medicine, reading medical books for fun of it all, literally. I've been in ministry for like 27 years now. So that's been an integral part of my life since childhood. But the way it walks out for me is less churchy work, you know, but more of like, listen, every day is literally a reason to be thankful, to be grateful. There, you know, and this, it isn't like I'm just like, oh, this wishful thinking and there's a happy place somewhere, but it's like, no, right now I look at all the small miracles that happen every day. It's like, wow, I'm sitting here in a car and it could have gone this way, but it really didn't. And what's the worst case scenario that didn't happen? And recognizing the fact that so many negative things have happened throughout the course of, let's just say, the past year and a half. It's also been an opportunity for people who have a faith and who are draw strength day to day from their faith to share that, and to get outside of the box of 4 walls of relying on, come to our church, come to our synagogue, come to our mosque, come to our place of worship. No, it's take it to the streets. It's like, listen, we know times are hard and difficult, but we can draw together in faith in humanity, faith that we can work this thing out unselfishly together and draw strength. And we've seen so many situations where people have pulled together and donated, and in spite of having tremendous difficulties, helped each other and our fellow human beings. And it does not take away from the negative things that have happened. But if we look in the big picture, so many positive things have happened. We recognize that regardless of our ethnic backgrounds or our sexual orientations or what our family structures look like or where we come from or whatever, that we are essentially spiritual beings in human forms. And we're just trying to make it through this life together.
Yeah. It's like a conscious gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, and living your faith, kind of living your love of God by showing it to other people.
And it's like we often say, you know, if you can't say that you love God, who you've never seen, and fail to love your human beings who you see every day. If that's the case, that's not real faith. That's not real faith. So I definitely can say that over the course of the pandemic, I've seen people who weren't necessarily going to get up and go to a place on a Saturday or on a Sunday or whatever, but they're flipping around services. They're like, oh, I can watch this one online, and oh, I can watch this one online. And it's like, I've seen pockets even of social media where we're encouraging each other. And so for that, I'm grateful. And I know that even though once the doors of the, you know, of worship really fully opens and we're singing together, we're doing whatever together, there'll be protocols in place that will make a difference. But I know that now it's forced people to not rely on, come to us. How can we reach you and encourage our fellow people?
Right. And I think this was a perfect timing for all believers to have that one-on-one with him, because he's hungry for that, for a relationship with you. So if us as believers are not like at the beginning of the pandemic, I did not like kind of like realized, like I realized what was going on, but I didn't realize the opportunity that I had in front of me to have a relationship with God for more time, extended time, either morning, night, or midday, whatever it was. So I think that once I kind of like took a grasp, it was like, oh wait, I could do more Bible study. I could do this online. I could have more time. To me, it was like, and I think it was like crucial opportunity for all of those who are believers and non-believers can actually take a grasp of what was going on and who had like, who's the chief in command around here. And for me, that's the way I see it. He's a drill sergeant. We move. That's it.
And you know what? And then for me, and just kind of tag on that, but for me, I'm just so grateful because I see that when we decide to come together and recognize whatever our practices are or not, that we are still human beings that are collectively in this thing called life, trying to find our way through, giving each other grace and space and helping each other and being that hands and feet and be that assist to encourage each other and to think mindfully and to use our mouths to speak positivity and to share those things. I think that of all the negative that have come to light and become really on in our faces every day during this pandemic, that is my heart, that I know that as time goes on, we're going to draw from this and be much more conscientious about how we love others as we love ourselves. So I don't know. I just feel the need. Dana, did you have something else? Because I just feel the need to be inspired some more.
I don't have a quote today, but who does? I'm sure one of us has a quote.
Oh, I do. I have a
Alika.
and I will say,
you.
It is from One Last Word by Nikki Grimes. So if you missed on a previous episode when my curtain fell down, I have like walls of books in my house. You just come to Alika's house and check out books. And so I found this quote, and Nikki Grimes is a poet. And if you don't know who she is, you should Google her, Nikki Grimes. Stand tall, head held high at all times, but bow humbly when the occasion warrants. Be conscious of the treasure of your mind and heart, the pride of your ancestry, the debt you owe those who came before. The future requires steadiness, perseverance, strength, gifts you access with the key of your will. The power you seek is in sight.
That's awesome.
That actually is very, very beautiful. That's truly strength drawing worthiness, worthy to draw strength. So thank you, Nikki. And thank you, Alika, for pulling that one. And thank you to our Sunny subscribers. Thank you to you too.
So I want to shout out and say a big thank you for Sharon Johnson. And John Seaton. Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for subscribing. We so appreciate you.
Yeah.
We really, really do. So tell a friend to check us out. Tell all your friends.
Tell your preacher. Oh,
go preach.
Go preach.
Come on and join the fun. Come on and join the fun and subscribe. So again, we thank you so much. Definitely when you do subscribe, what should they do, Dana?
Hit that button so that you get notifications and you can
That's
know.
right.
Yeah.
So hit us up and let us know your comments about this topic and other topics as you watch other previous episodes, and make sure that you subscribe and make sure that you tell your friends and all the kind of cool stuff, because we want to be here for you. So if you have a show idea, let us know that as well. Okay. So on that note, check us out next time. And as always, have a positive, peaceful, and a peaceful, and a productive day too. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.